only 1 in 3 American 4th graders can read proficiently. Math scores for 13-year-olds just collapsed 14 points on the nation's report card. From 285 out of 500 in 2012 to 271 in 2023. Reading fell from 263 to 256. Half a century of gains erased. The standard explanations don't hold. This isn't a funding problem. Education spending has tripled since 1950. It isn't a partisan gridlock either. The decline is bipartisan, cutting across red states and blue states alike. But what if the system isn't broken? What if it's working exactly as designed? What we're witnessing isn't institutional failure. It's the endgame of a transformation that began when schools stopped being about formation and became instruments of political conversion. The blueprint for that transformation was drawn in 1789. To understand why American children can't read, we have to go back to the moment when the physical universe itself lost its order. When Newton, Copernicus, and Galileo dismantled the cosmos and left a single question hanging over everything. If the stars don't have a fixed place, why should we? The discoveries of Newton, Copernicus, and Galileo are the definitive line dividing the Middle Ages from modernity. By demonstrating the laws of gravity and heliocentrism, these astronomers dismantled the Aristotelian universe, where every object had a fixed, ordered place. This shift launched the era of humanism, where man became the protagonist in decoding the world, gradually moving the focus away from the divine. If the physical universe was no longer predetermined, what was our place in life? If physical laws governed the world, what laws should govern society? These questions grew increasingly provocative, eventually challenging the traditional roles of kings, priests, and religion itself. This spirit of inquiry reached its peak in 1789, founding the French Enlightenment and igniting the French Revolution. The intellectual heart of this movement was Jean-Jacques Rousseau, a French philosopher who targeted the rising merchant class, the bourgeoisie. Rousseau argued that classical education created a moralizing discourse, an artificial standard of conduct that was impossible to practice in reality. He believed this created a society of cynicism, where people pretended to have a moral standing they did not possess. Rousseau claimed this falsity was perpetuated by schools, where teachers forced children to adopt standards that the adult world ignored. This led to his famous maxim, "Man is born good, and society corrupts him." In his work, Emile, he proposed a revolutionary concept of childhood, suggesting that if children were protected from corrupt society and encouraged to be free thinkers through playful methods, they could break the cycle of social decay. When the French Revolution arrived, the state radicalized Rousseau's ideas. Revolutionary leaders like Robespierre kept Rousseau's work on their bedside tables as they restructured the nation. The revolutionary dictatorship established compulsory instruction and placed every school, public or private, under government command. No person could teach or open a school without an official university license. The relationship between student and teacher changed completely too. Revolutionary theorists realized that adults were too attached to traditional values, honoring the church and the king, to be fully converted. To secure the revolution's future, they targeted the children. By exploiting the emotional dependency and unformed psyche of the youth, the state turned the mandatory school system into an instrument of political transformation. This marked a shift from education as formation to education as an abuse of liberty. The intellectual legacy of the revolution delegitimized subjective truth in favor of state-controlled narratives. As universities fell under state control, modernity introduced the relativization of knowledge. Thinkers like Descartes promoted doubt as the only reliable substance, while Hume argued that the self was merely a matter of faith. Immanuel Kant addressed this by suggesting we never truly know things in themselves, only their phenomenal appearance as filtered through our own cognitive structures. This gave birth to positivism, the belief that certainty only exists through scientific consensus. Consequently, the scientific and technological class emerged as a new clergy, holding absolute power over truth and error. Finally, Friedrich Hegel presented the apotheosis of this thought, the superstate. Hegel argued that the state is the ultimate entity that explains why human exists. Individuals are merely bricks in a total system. This Hegelian vision where the state as the peak of human history became the driving force behind the universalization of state-run education. We are witnessing an unprecedented collapse in educational standards that mirrors the radical shifts of the past. While we're told that the problem is a lack of funding, the reality is a crisis of purpose. We have moved from a system of formation to one of activism, and the results are statistically devastating. This might show a systemic failure of the foundational promise of education. While academic performance hits record lows, the focus of the classroom has shifted. We are seeing a generation where basic proficiency is vanishing, yet the blueprint for political transformation established during the French Revolution is being followed to the letter. The classroom has been deconstructed, replacing independent thought with a state-controlled consensus. But what are your thoughts? Do you think there is a way out of this crisis? What should the education of the future look like? Leave a comment and take a few seconds to like the video, subscribe and share this content while also turning the notification bell. And if you want to stay ahead of our releases, click the link in the description or scan the QR code on the screen. Don't miss this chance, and see you in our next 10-minute brief.